Well, this is different, and I'm very excited to be doing this because these characters mean a lot to me, but I haven't used them in a long time, and I thought I should bring them back. So, the two characters we're doing today is Zero and Melanie, who her previous name was Mochi, and I hate it. It's so cringe, and you've never actually seen these characters appear before. Only if you're a long-time fan and have an eagle eye. They appear like once or twice in some of my older videos, but they're only in the end cards, as seen here. Now, the thing about these characters, you may or may not have noticed that the previous ones were proto-gens, and I have no clue as to why I went with those designs. I was never once really in the furry community. I just liked the design of them, and my 12-year-old self said, "Hey, that seems like a cool idea," but considering that these characters are supposed to be in their own universe and be their own kind of creation, I didn't really want to just go off of an already made species or character sheet, but they did have a similar idea behind them, just not identical. And I didn't want them to be, the same thing but reused, also because I plan to use them in like a comic or something in the future, and I don't want to really just use a proto-gen twice over with barely different features for each one. So I decided to just change the designs completely, but some of the features still are, reminiscent of what a proto-gen would have, which it's kind of like a nice callback to what they used to be before I decided to change them into something a lot better and unique. And it's really just my own design rather than copied off of a reference sheet. At the very beginning of this video, you can actually see the old proto-gen reference sheet appear once in like half a second because I had to remind myself what they even looked like, because I haven't drawn these characters in literally about 4 years. It's been a long time, and the last time I did draw them, it was on a piece of paper in English, and it was a joke about the fact that Mochi was, I hate that name, that Mochi was short compared to Zero, and she was standing on a box to try and make herself look taller. I remember it vividly because that's how bored I was, but that was the last time I drew them, and that was in year 7, so yeah, quite a long time ago. As for the weapon that I used for Melanie, I very much took inspiration from one of my favorite games, that being Hyrule Warriors. Not Age of Calamity, but Definitive Edition, specifically because that was the one that I played, and that was when I got Impa's Spear, and you can see that a lot of that weapon that I drew really is reminiscent of that spear, because I really loved using that weapon, and I really loved how it looked well. So I just made it like a double-sided blade, I don't know. You can see that it was at this point that I decided to also start working on Zero instead, and I used the same body base that I did use for Melanie, but the problem with that was obviously I had to change a lot because obviously he doesn't have more robotics in his legs, rather the robotics are more towards the top half of his body, whereas Melanie is more focused in speed and velocity and she's more agile than him, whereas he is more physically powerful and has a fire bending ability, more or less, is basically what it is. Because I aim to make him Leozar's biggest threat, because they're both fire wielders, I suppose. That was like my one big thing. That's when he's first introduced too, is when him and Leozar were fighting in the forest and Blue and Jupiter come across him. When I was thinking up the lore for these characters, I never really had them, previously I never had them as lizard people, more so, what a proto-gen is. They're just fluffy things with screen faces. I don't really know how to describe them, but I decided to make these guys lizards, mainly because they are considered the gods of their world, considering that Okaza, who is the god of that universe, the sun god, she is actually like a dragon lizard, and considering every single person on the planet does actually have a dragon form and like a humanoid form, it made sense because they do worship dragons, the Lunale, as they are called, and that is what Jupiter is. You can see for the color schemes of these characters that I did stick with what they looked like originally. I just changed a few things, so instead of having just like light green, light pink, light blue, I did change the green to just blue and like a light yellow because I felt it went better with her theme. And then I had like the really neon purple as like the glowy sections of her body. I didn't really plan that far when I created this like character. I was like, well, I mean, they're part robot, so sure, that works. Like, they're part lava lamp now, apparently. Now, here's where I confess to a crime that I had. When I was choosing colors for this next character, that being Zero, you can see me drawing the line art for him now. When I was choosing the color schemes, I actually went based off of like my favorite anime character. Don't question it, because I really liked how those colors went together on him. Thus, I stole those colors from him. On my other screen, I was just kind of looking over, so you can see the hair and the outfit are like the same colors as his, simply because I really like those colors. I held back the urge to make his eye blue/brown, whichever you want to argue about is his actual eye color. So be thankful that I didn't just actually steal his entire color palette for you. And last but not least, here is their info. This is Melanie, and this is Zero. I had a lot of fun making these and everything about them, finally redesigning them, so I hope you really enjoyed this video.